Hey everyone, Mike Burke here with InsideRealEstatePhotography.com, and in this video we're going to check out the Laowa 15mm shift lens and how it could benefit us as real estate photographers. So off the top, I just want to say I was not paid by Laowa or anybody else to make this video. Laowa did, however, offer to send me out this lens to borrow for a little bit to try out. I gladly did so because I always wanted to try out a shift lens. In this video, I'm going to tell you about this lens and its features, and we're also going to check out what this lens is capable of. But before we get into all of that, I just want to quickly tell you about our sponsor, Soundstripe. Soundstripe is an excellent resource for royalty-free music, sound effects, and stock footage. As real estate photographers, we need a great place to get music for our real estate walkthrough videos, drone videos, etc. And Soundstripe has been my go-to for years now. Soundstripe has an excellent library of songs to choose from, many of which seem tailor-made for real estate videos. I use songs from Soundstripe for every single real estate video I create, and also all of my YouTube videos on this channel. It's an excellent service that's reasonably priced. I wouldn't promote anything on this channel that I did not use myself and find valuable. If you're interested in signing up for Soundstripe, you'll find a link down in the description of this video, along with a link to a playlist that I've personally curated of songs that are perfect for real estate videos. Don't forget to use my coupon code INSIDEREALESTATEPHOTOGRAPHY to get a discount on your subscription. So before we dive into this specific lens, I just want to quickly describe what a shift lens does in case some of you are unfamiliar. A shift lens gives you the capability to shift the lens parallel to the image sensor without moving the camera body. This allows you to decrease or eliminate distortion and also straighten vertical lines when, say, shooting a house or a building from a low angle. So for instance, this lens will be very beneficial if you're a photographer that shoots a lot in urban environments where you have to shoot a lot of taller buildings. In those scenarios, you don't have a lot of room to back up and shoot the building level and straight, so you'll be forced to tilt the camera up in order to capture the whole building, which will create distortion and converging vertical lines. Now you might be thinking, well, I can just adjust for distortion and vertical lines in post in, say, Lightroom or Photoshop. You absolutely can do that, but only to a degree. In more extreme cases, like when you have to shoot taller buildings and really have to tilt the camera up, you're not going to be able to achieve the same end result in post as you would by using a shift lens. Sometimes even the shift lens won't be able to achieve perfectly straight vertical lines either when shooting a building without looking a little wonky, depending on how extreme the angle is, but it will get you a lot closer than a traditional lens will, and a lot of times you can correct it the rest of the way in post because it's only a minimal amount. Okay, now let me tell you about this specific lens. Firstly, this lens is fully manual. It has no electronic connections to the camera whatsoever. So that means setting your aperture manually with the aperture ring, manually focusing, manual everything. That being said, this would be a lens that I would use for specific scenarios and not general everyday real estate photography use. You certainly could use it for everyday real estate photography use, but adjusting everything manually all the time will slow down your workflow. Also, it is a prime lens, so there's no zooming capabilities, which is something that I appreciate on my everyday real estate photography lens. So yeah, it has a fixed 15mm focal length, which is a nice wide focal length for full frame cameras and suits the needs of architectural and real estate photographers nicely. Also, the build quality of this is solid, it's nice and heavy and feels like a tank. It has an aperture range of f4.5 to f22. I personally shoot everything real estate related at f8, so you can just set the aperture ring to f8 or whatever aperture you prefer, and then basically you don't have to worry about it anymore after that. This lens falls under Laowa's 0D series of lenses, which means it has a rectilinear design that renders subjects with minimal distortion in order to suit architectural, interior, and landscape applications. One of the downsides of this lens is that it has a bulbous or protruding front element on it, which will not allow you to put a filter on, like a circular polarizer filter, which I prefer to use. The benefits of this lens are mainly for exterior shooting anyway, in my opinion, so there's not as much need for a circular polarizer outside anyway. The other problem I found with this protruding front element was that I was catching a lot of sun flares while shooting, so I was constantly trying to shield it with my hand to eliminate the flares. This did not come with a lens hood, so I assume there isn't one for this, probably because it would intrude on the image a little bit. So not a huge deal, but it was a little bit of an annoyance. So functionality wise, you first have your manual focus ring furthest out, then your aperture ring, then the shift ring, which controls the amount of shift. As you can see, I turned it and now the lens is shifted over this way. If I turn it the other direction, it will shift this way. Then on the bottom, you have your degree or angle of shift, so you can control the angle, so you can shift it in basically whatever direction you want in 360 degrees. But if you're shooting buildings and trying to correct verticals like most of us will be doing, you'll just want to keep the angle set on 0 degrees for horizontal orientation shooting, so it'll just shift up and down. All right, so now let's take this lens out and do some real world shooting. Hey everyone, I'm here in West New York, New Jersey, which is just across the river from New York City. I have a client up here that sells apartment buildings, so I'm shooting 7 apartment buildings today, the exteriors mainly. So it's a perfect opportunity to test out this Laowa shift lens because these streets are narrow. I can only back up so much. I can't shoot the exterior of the building level, so I have to tilt my camera to capture the whole entire building. So the shift is going to come in handy with that perspective. You know, minimizing it. It's not going to correct it completely, but I'm going to take you along the way. I'm going to show you some shots with my G Master lens, which is what I'm shooting with right now for this video, and then I'll compare it to the Laowa so you can see the difference of what the shift can really do and what the advantages of it are. So let's get to it. All right, so that's the building I'm shooting. So my camera's level right now, so if I was to shoot this level, that would be the shot I was getting. So I'm obviously not getting the whole top of the building in or anything. So I have no choice but to tilt. I'm as far back as I could possibly get, so I have to tilt my camera like this. So right now I have the G Master on, so obviously we're getting, you know, not straight verticals, but you know, this is the best I can do pretty much with the G Master. So I'm gonna take this shot, and then I'll take one with the shift, and then you can see the difference here. So. All right, so now I'm gonna put the shift lens on and get a shot, the same shot, and we'll see what we can do as far as making it better. All right, so I have the shift lens on now, so now I'm gonna shift here and see what kind of better looking shot we can get. Let's see here. Obviously that's crazy. Somewhere around there is the best we're gonna do. So you just have to kind of play with it and see what looks best and what the best result you can get is. But as you can see already, probably you can tell that the verticals are a lot more close to straight than they were with the G Master, so this is definitely a much better situation. All right, so I have to focus this manually now, so I'm gonna just punch in here, get sharp focus. All right, my focus is set, so I'm gonna take this shot. Unfortunately, we have a school bus parked in front of the building, but not much you can do about that, so. All right, so that's done. Let's take another shot over here, another view here. All right, again, I still have the shift lens on from the last shot, so I'm gonna do that one first. This is already looking fairly decent. Let's see if I could shift it even more. Can almost get this almost looking even straight, pretty close. I don't want to overdo it either, so it looks weird. Go with that. Try to fix it up a little bit too in post. Go forward just a little bit. All right, finally no cars. All right, so that's with the shift. Now I'm gonna put the G Master back on and get another shot here so we can compare. All right, so I got the G Master on now. I'm gonna do the same shot, but I'm gonna have to move a little bit because it's a totally different lens. Different without the shift, it's a totally different animal. So, all right, so here, I'm gonna have to tilt up. So you probably can notice the difference already of what that shift is doing. It's doing quite a bit here. All right, so that's pretty much the best I'm gonna get here with the G Master. All right, so there you guys have a couple shots with the Laowa shift lens compared to the G Master. I'm not gonna take you to all these 7 buildings I have to shoot today. They're all gonna be basically the same thing, so a couple shots are good enough for comparison's sake for this video. So now let's take this back to the computer and compare these side by side. All right guys, so I have the images here now on my computer. Let's just take a quick look at these to see how they compare. The G Master compared to the Laowa shift lens. So this first image here, these images are already edited by the way, but so this first image is with the G Master. Obviously, you know, we had tilted the camera up to capture the whole building. This is a bit of an extreme angle here, so you know, not the best angle. I mean, it is what it is here. But shooting these buildings in this environment, there's always cars, there's always people. There's nothing you can do about it. There's always a bunch of stuff around. It's just, it is what it is. A lot of power lines, you know, all that whole stuff. But you know, that's just the nature of the beast here. So anyway, so obviously, yeah, we got these crazy converging vertical lines because we had to tilt the camera and all that. All right, so now I'm just gonna go over to the next image, which is the Laowa shift lens image. You can see, you know, I didn't go all the way on this because it just looked wonky in the camera. If I straighten this all the way, this is a little bit of an extreme angle, but still it's a lot better than this. You can see, you know, how much correction there was done there. It's not fully corrected. You know, of course I could come in Lightroom here and just like, you know, fully correct it, but you see how much of a stretch this corner is getting now. And it's because of the extreme angle, like side angle I shot this building on. So that's what I didn't like in camera either, was this sort of effect happening, because it's just stretching that out. So I'm willing to just accept this on this angle particularly, which isn't, you know, perfectly straight. Obviously it's not ideal, but the next image you'll really see what this lens can do. So this is the straight on image, and this is with the G Master. And now I will skip over to the Laowa image, and boom, wow, like that's a huge difference there. All the verticals are pretty much perfectly dead on straight. It straightened the whole building out. So again, that's the 16 to 35 G Master, and this is the 15mm Laowa. So big difference there. And this is where you can really see the benefit of it. I'm not so much on an extreme angle now, I'm just shooting straight on. So you can really straighten the whole thing out and, you know, make it perfectly straight even. So real quick, let's compare these two images side by side. You know, I think both lenses have very good image quality, but, you know, zooming in here, you can see the G Master has, you know, better sharpness here, it looks like. You know, this is a little bit, you know, soft. And that's dead, that's like dead center. See what the corners look like. You know, G Master you can see is getting a little soft in the corners, whereas the Laowa is still, you know, pretty soft as well in the corners. So, you know, the G Master looks sharper. And let's just look at this. Maybe I was out, you know, this is manual focus, so maybe I missed focus a little bit, but let's just check at these two as well to see how these two compare. So yeah, again, on the left is G Master, on the right is the Laowa. You know, again here it looks a little softer than the G Master is here on the left. The G Master is exceptional glass. I feel like it's a very sharp lens. And look, here's a little lens flare. That's what I was talking about too before. You know, this bulbous element catches these lens flares. Bulbous front protruding element catches those lens flares a lot. So, you know, it's another thing that happens with that lens. But I mean, hey, it's still a great looking image, even if it is a little softer than the G Master is. And you can see it just in the brick detail. It's just a little softer. I mean, people aren't pixel peeping, we're pixel peeping here, so, you know, it's a little bit extreme. But, you know, I would not look, you know, at that image. I would not look at one of these Laowa images and think, wow, it's not a good looking image. It looks sharp. It looks like good image quality to me. You know, I think overall this is very good image quality and totally acceptable, and it looks great, especially a customer's not going to notice, you know, that it's a little soft, and they're not going to be pixel peeping and comparing it to another lens. So, you know, totally acceptable for this kind of work. It looks great overall. As I mentioned in the video before, this was just like one of 7 or 8 buildings that I shot that day. So let me show you some more shots of other buildings that I took that day. I did use the Laowa the whole day. I really enjoyed using it, and I really enjoyed its capabilities. So just pay particular attention to like the vertical lines and stuff like that the lens is correcting, so you can see what the lens can really do. So I think this is a cool and handy lens to have in your arsenal as an architectural or real estate photographer, and I think it's almost a must-have if you're a photographer that works a lot in urban environments, like you saw in this video, where you have to shoot a lot of taller buildings. This lens has a decent price tag of $11.99 and is available in Sony, Canon, or Nikon mounts. Again, I wouldn't recommend this lens as an everyday real estate photography lens because of its all manual functionality, which will slow you down. Its fixed focal length of 15mm and not having the ability to zoom, which I like the versatility of. And also its bulbous front element, which will not allow you to put a circular polarizer filter on it, which I use all day, every day. As a professional photographer that shoots houses and buildings for a living, I definitely see the valuable uses of this lens and its place in our bags for when the time is right. As professionals, we want the right and best tools for the job, and I think it falls under that umbrella. It's definitely going to be on my list of things to buy and add to my toolbox in the near future. Alright everyone, that's it for this video. If you are interested in purchasing one of these lenses, you'll find a link down in the description below. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I really appreciate your support. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you again soon on the next one.